I asked my mom if we can host a dinner in our house for the video team. It's not an everyday thing that you have Palestinians coming over to your house, eating dinner with you and your family.
Hi Ruth, how are you?
At the beginning I was a bit afraid because I didn't know how well it would go.
Hi Bushra. Hi. Okay, it was hard to get everything done to get it done. Yeah, I know. You mentioned. Yeah, it was like not so bad. It's like it's fine. Welcome. I hope you enjoy it.
We're about to light the Chanukah. It's the 5th candle today, and Yaron is gonna have the honor. So. Well.
For those outside Israel, it may be difficult to grasp what a huge commitment this is. How difficult it is for some of the Palestinian kids even to travel into Israel. And how courageous for Sivan's mother and father to risk the anger of their neighbors by inviting Arabs into their home.
So we'll make a toast to great friendships that we made, and for many more visits like these.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Fine. Cheers. Hope not for the first time.
When I were in Sivan's and Ruth's house, I felt that I achieved something. I don't know, I can't limit it, but I felt that I achieved many things visiting Ruth's and Sivan.
I like to look at this now. I'm now in my room, looking through the window. I'd like you to be with me to see.
Now, Sivan is going to visit her friend, Bushra. It means going into a Palestinian refugee camp.
Abba.
כן, סיוון.
מחר, כפי שאתה יודע, אני נוסעת לבושרה. I told them that it's very important for me.
ברור לי שאם היה איזשהו צל של ספק שקיימת סכנה ממשית, אני לא הייתי מאפשר לך לנסוע.
But Sivan's mother is frightened.
ממש לא חושבת כמוה. מה אתה חושבת כמוה?
כלום אני לא חושבת כמוה.
תסבירי.
אני חושבת שקודם כל אי אפשר להתכחש לזה, זה יותר מסוכן, הרבה יותר מסוכן לך, סיוון, לנסוע לבושרה מאשר לבושרה לבוא לפה.
It's not fair for us as Israelis to tell the Palestinians every time that they can come to our houses, to our cities. But then on the other hand, when they invite us, we say, okay, no, it's not safe for us to come to your houses, in your cities, you know? So you can't do that.
How are you? Thank you very much. How are you? I'm great. You're great. I'm so glad to have you here. You too.
Welcome.
I've never been to a Palestinian's house. You know, I wasn't sure what you bring to a Palestinian house.
This visit is also an act of great courage by Bushra's family. To be seen inviting an Israeli into their home will be viewed by some as treachery.
So she said hi. So this is great. So do you like maktuba? I love maktuba. Bushra is a very nice person. You do learn about people much more once you've met their family and where they come from. Bye.
Bushra, thank you very much. Thank you. Say hello to your family.
I will. And you're welcome to. I told you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Say hello to your family.
I will.
Really, and warm greetings to them.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Now comes an invitation no one had expected. Yossi has asked Bushra to visit his home, Kiryat Gat, the Israeli city built on what was once Bushra's family home.
I'm really happy because I fulfill my dream to see the village which I'm dreaming to visit. But I'm sad because my family can't even visit or see Araq al-Manshiyah, and also my grandmother.
بعد يومين بدي اروح على رجل منشيه ف شو شعورك ان انا بدي اروح غاد
تيجي بدنا نتملش منك زرت النبي هنا ها
وشو بتتمنى كمان
ونتسلى في حبه.
Tomorrow she's coming to visit. And that's a new thing for me because I've never met a Palestinian kid in my house. That's a new experience for me, but I hope that that I will make the best of it, and I will understand her as much as I can, and I really want to understand her feelings towards the town, the village that was here.
One of the women, she told me that there is a hill here, and it was like a grave of a holy man.
Yeah. Yeah, from here you can see the boundaries of all the area, Lachish area. That's the county. You see those trees almost in the middle of Kiryat Gat? They were once planted in order to hide the ruins of the village after the war, because people didn't want the Arabs to come back and to settle in their houses. Okay, so follow me. That's actually the grave. People didn't take care of it, but they didn't ruin it also. So they left it the way it is. And that's it. It was more important for her to see the village than for me to maybe it was also important for me to show her her native village, because this is where I live. And I think that this kind of visit can build trust, and that's a good thing.
But that trust was about to be shattered, as we'll see in part 2 of our cover story after the break. Until late last year, things were looking up in the Middle East. However slow, progress was being made towards a lasting peace. Then a devastating wave of violence destroyed a decade of painstaking work and imposed a terrible test on the seeds of peace. Just 3 years ago, it seemed anything was possible. If a young Israeli teenager could invite both her Jewish and her Palestinian friends round to dinner, surely peace stood a chance. In September last year, everything in the Middle East changed. Ariel Sharon, then Israel's opposition leader, now Prime Minister, made a fateful trip to the Temple Mount, sacred to both Jews and Muslims, in an attempt to demonstrate Israeli sovereignty. It was a provocative act, spiraled in riots, then street battles, bombings, and now even rocket attacks by Israeli warplanes. At last count, more than 560 people dead, most of them Palestinians. As in so many wars, it's been the young men and women from both sides who've been the main victims and the main perpetrators of this cataclysmic explosion of violence. So was the Seeds of Peace camp all in vain?
Two great friendships that were made, and for many more visits like these.
And what's happened to all those great friendships? Sivan is now 19, still living with her parents in the northern Israeli city of Nahariya. She looks back fondly on that precious day when her friend Bushra first came to visit.
She was nervous at the beginning. She didn't know what to expect very much, I think. But when she came in, she was, I mean, my parents were very friendly to her, and we talked to her, and I think she felt comfortable. I spoke to her afterwards. I asked her how it was, you know, and it was also Hanukkah when she came. So we did the whole thing. We lit the candles, we sang Hanukkah songs. So it was pretty interesting to see her, you know, part of it. And but she told me she really did enjoy it.
Sivan looks back with justifiable pride at visiting Bushra's home in the refugee camp.
I think we also wanted to prove something to ourselves. You know, they always say that to make peace, in order to make peace, you need to be brave. And we always, you know, asked ourselves how does it really come to in practice? And I think this was one of the challenges that we had. I mean, I felt that I was kind of brave.
So you were a bit scared too? I
was. I mean, at the beginning, I wasn't at all. But when you start hearing people all, you know, around you saying, "Oh my God, are you serious? You're really going to do this? You're not afraid? You're not afraid? You're not afraid? You're not afraid?" So eventually, when I was already in the car driving from Jerusalem, you know, to Hebron, I started having these, you know, thoughts coming back to me, and I was a bit scared, but I was received with so much warmth, and it's not every day that you meet such family. I felt very, very fortunate to have that chance.
And today, despite all that has happened, the bond between Sivan and Bushra remains strong. Still a strong friendship between you and Bushra?
Yes.
These days, Bushra is studying in New York, unable to return to her home on the West Bank, even to visit, for fear of being trapped, as the Israeli government closes down borders and restricts movement out of the refugee camps.
I would never imagine that my best friend would be an Israeli before siege of his camp. And
do you keep in touch with Sivan?
Yes, actually, I just got an email from her yesterday, and she's fine.
Bushra has watched the mounting violence and the heavy death toll among her people with despair.
To tell you the truth, it disappointed me, and for a moment maybe I thought that peace is something that is impossible. But receiving emails from my Israeli friends kept me optimistic. Few hear from some people from the other side saying, okay, we're against what's going on, and we really want this to stop, and we really want them to stop this bloodshed in the Holy Land. That keeps faith inside me.
Tell me, if you were back in the Middle East now, in an occupied town, would you pick up a rock and throw it at the Israelis?
I wouldn't, because I don't think...
Not under any circumstances?
I don't think that throwing stones is also a solution, as guns and weapons are not a solution.
But the winds of war scattered the seeds of peace. Yossi has been called up for military service and disappeared into the labyrinth of the Israeli army. No one knows where he is.